The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and to our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. Here's a verse in Deuteronomy that says the secret things belong to the Lord our God. Now the question arises, has God created any secret things, things that we do not understand and never will understand? Here's another verse. Oh, the depths of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. For who has known the mind of the Lord? Who has become his counselor? Or who has first given to him, and it will be repaid to him? How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. Is there anything that is past finding out? By computers, the best of intelligence? Well, let's look at something here. Here's a simple equation, y equals x. Now, if we want to find the area under this line, the line is just a simple line at 45 degrees, going between x is 0 and x is 1. If we want to find the area under this line, it's very simple. If it were a square, it would just be 1. The area would just be 1. 1 times 1 equals 1. But being a line, we can take the integral between 0 and 1 of x times dx. dx is a very small portion of x, and we multiply times y to get the area, and y is just simply x, so we can put x in the equation here instead of y, and now we have an integral with only one variable, and we can solve it. The answer is x squared divided by 2 between the values of 0 and 1, which is a half minus 0, which is simply a half. So the area under this line in a square of 1 by 1 is just simply a half. That's very simple. So we started with simple things, but we're coming to something extremely complicated. Let's take a parabola now. A parabola, of course, is not so simple. It is a line with constantly changing curvature. This is not a circle, it's a parabola. And the curvature is constantly changing. The equation is y equals x squared. If we want to find the area, the cross-hatched area here under this line, we take the integral of x squared times dx, dx being a very small change in x between 0 and 1, which is x cubed divided by 3 between 0 and 1, which is 1/3 minus 0, which is simply a third. Now here's an area bounded by a parabola of constantly changing curvature, and that's just simply 1/3 of the total area of the square, where y equals 1 and x is 1. Again, something complicated, but we've been able to solve it with an exact number, very simple number, 1/3. Now let's come to a circle. This circle has not a constantly changing curvature. The curvature is constant. The equation for this circle is x squared plus y squared equals 1. So we solve this for y in order to have one variable only in our equation. Y squared equals 1 minus x squared, taking x squared away from both sides. Solve for y. Y is the square root of 1 minus x squared. Take the area. Now, of course, this what we've cross-hatched here is only a quarter of the total area of the circle, but to get the total area, we just multiply by 4. That's very simple. So area is the integral between 0 and 1 of this equation, the square root of 1 minus x squared dx. Very simple. It appears to be very simple, but no one has ever solved this equation. If we could solve this equation, we could solve for pi. No one has ever done it. One man spent 25 years calculating the value of pi and never ended the never-ending decimal. Pi is an indefinite number. Here's the first few digits of pi. Pi equals 3.14159.265. But that goes on and on to infinity, and it's a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal. And no one knows unless they calculate it what the next number will be. Now, of course, I know the next number. I can just look it up in a book. someone else has done it. But without someone else actually carrying out the calculations, we wouldn't know. Very simple. The circumference of this circle is painted in orange. The diameter is painted in green. The radius, of course, is the difference between the center of the circle and the circumference. Very simple. The area is simply pi r squared, but there's that number pi. So if we solve for pi, pi is the area divided by r squared. Doesn't that look simple? Even a child can recognize a circle. A child probably couldn't recognize a parabola. In fact, I would have trouble recognizing the difference between a parabola and a catenary, or even y equals x cubed. A child can recognize a circle. Can't we find out pi? Well, here it is. Pi is a divided by r squared. Now the circumference is 2 pi r, or simply pi d. So pi is the circumference divided by d. Well, no one has ever found out the exact value of pi. Now this is plenty good enough for most of our calculations, but doesn't that seem to you very miraculous that God has created such a simple thing as a circle, and no one can tell the exact relationship between the orange and the green, the circumference and the diameter? That the circumference divided by the diameter is an irrational number? What does it say here? How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. God does simple things that a child can recognize, and his ways are past finding out.